Greetings, citizens of Cake. I hope you're all having an amazing summer thus far. I know I am. It's been filled with carbs and, well, not much else. Today I'm going to be doing something unlike anything I've done before because today we're going to be diving into some of my most iconic ghost stories.
I felt like eyes were on me for the rest of the time that I was there, and I finally was like, I need to get out of this house. I need to get out.
I've never really discussed my paranormal experiences on this channel before, and I kind of just decided that it's about time I share a few of them with you guys. I consider myself someone who is paranormally inclined, so I have a lot of creepy stories to tell. If you've ever had a ghost story time with me in person, you know that one of my favorite locations to discuss is my grandparents' house. Ever since I was a little kid, I just always knew that there was something different about Nani and Pops' house. It just has a vibe, and I'm not the only person who experiences this. A lot of my cousins have similar stories. In this house, you have all the basic haunted house tropes: footsteps, tapping, cold zones, nightmares. But I'm not gonna focus on the stereotypical haunted house stuff. Today, I want to tell you some of the weirder stories. One of my favorite stories to tell is the story of the Midnight Angler, partly because it was experienced by both myself and my cousin Cameron, so there's no debunking this one. At my grandparents' house, there is a golf cart that we ride through the forest trails on. And one time, Cameron and I were out riding the golf cart through the trails, and this is at night. So it's pitch black. And we come to a point at the end of the trail where we are basically exiting the forest and re entering the neighborhood. And I start looking off to the side. Not a good idea in hindsight because I was the one driving. But the point is, I'm distracted by the stars or something. When Cameron says, "What is Emily doing out here?" Emily being my other cousin, Cameron's sister. And so I look ahead of us, and about that time, Cameron then says something to the effect of, "That's not Emily." And then I finally get my eyes on what she's referring to, and it's this figure walking toward us on this path, maybe 100 feet in front of us. And we're going pretty fast, mind you. So, in that moment, it was really disturbing to me that this guy wasn't moving out of the way. And as we get closer to it, I realized that it's not an actual person, but a bluish, silverish shadow person, almost like a fog. And it looked like he was holding what resembled a fishing pole, hence the name Midnight Angler. And at this point, I swerve off the path because I was so confused about what I was seeing that I didn't want to risk running over an actual person. So just let that sink in, that this apparition looked so much like a real person that I swerved off the path to avoid hitting him. Well, then I make a giant U-turn to try and see what the heck this guy is doing out here, or who he is. And there is nothing there. No person walking, nothing. And then we saw a blue kind of orb float up off into the trees. And I remember we both just kind of sat there like so confused and creeped out. I mean, we both saw this guy just walking toward us, unfazed, that he's about to get run over. So that was scary. But then to turn around and realize that he wasn't actually there at all. Oh, this is a good one. So, one time, I was spending the night at the house, and I was getting ready to go to sleep in one of the back bedrooms. This was several years ago when I actually still stayed in that specific bedroom. That doesn't happen anymore. So I'm lying in the bed with my iPad and I'm playing games on my iPad. And all of a sudden, I get this feeling that something moved at the foot of the bed. And so I lie my iPad on my chest so that I can see, and there's nothing there. Of course. That's a running theme in all these stories. There's never anything there when there should be something there. So, a normal person might have left when they felt that weird feeling, but I'm not normal. In fact, I'm very horror movie status. I always drop my keys at inopportune times. I trip on literally nothing, and if there's a noise, you better bet I'm gonna investigate it. So I was just like, whatever, and continue to play games on my iPad. And a few minutes later, there's no way to even describe this. It sounds believable, but all of a sudden my iPad starts to feel weightless, like it's being pulled up. And before I can even figure out what is going on, it is just yanked from my grasp and thrown across the room. Thrown so hard that it broke out of its case, and it landed face down, so the room got really dark. And I remember just being frozen and thinking, there might be something going on here. By now you're probably thinking, okay, this house is haunted. Or if you're not subscribed yet, you're probably thinking, this guy is crazy. Well, if you're still skeptical, don't just take my word for it. Allow me to introduce you to Shannon Boozer, my best friend and fellow horror enthusiast. If you are a longtime fan of my work, you probably recognize her from my psychological thriller web series, Ruthless.
Well, if you were around more, maybe I wouldn't have an attitude. Okay, Jane, I do not need this from you. I work all day for you. You're never home. Stop it! Stop it, Jane!
While I was deciding what stories I wanted to tell you today, I remembered that Shannon actually had an encounter of her own at my grandparents' house while we were filming the finale episode of Ruthless. So a few days ago, I decided it would be a great idea to invite her back to the house all these years later so that she could walk us through exactly what happened.
Hey everybody, the sun is in my eyes. I'm on my way to meet with Jake. And you probably can't hear me because my air conditioning is on, but it has been one hot hell of a day. And I'm wearing all black and a hoodie. I really hope you can hear me talking this way. So I'm on my way to Jake's grandparents' house, which is very highly... I just ran something over. Oops. Jake's grandparents' house is very full of activity. It is a very active house. I had one of my most interesting experiences there. I wasn't aware that that house had paranormal activity in it at all. Some of it was anxiety, and then you start to realize that there's an energy in this house, there's feelings in this house that I just can't explain, and it's just strange, and I'm excited to see if I can feel it again and be like, I'm gonna, actively waltz into this ghost haven.
You just turned down a random road?
Yes!
Why?
Because I was like, there's like a construction sign near that thing. My psychic ability will lead me to the street. But I got vibes from the street I just turned down, so this whole area must be haunted with many, many things. Okay, is it past the gas station? I didn't even put it on my GPS. I hope I'm at the right house. There's a wreath on the door.
Yes.
This is where I heard the voice.
Tell them about your experience when we were filming Ruthless here. How many years ago? 3, 4?
Ish. So we were in the process of filming Ruthless. We were out in the woods and it was so full of mosquitoes. And Jake asked me to come back for some kind of film equipment, probably some tripod or something. And so I took the cart out of the woods and back over here. And the garage is weird, and I had a feeling like there was just, it feels like there's something like watching you all the time. Well, I walked into the back, and Pops had left to get us food, and I thought Nani was here the whole time. And the dogs came and greeted me and stuff. I knocked over an entire thing of their treats. So
I forgot about that.
I had to quickly pick this up, and as I was like rummaging, I heard a like, hey, you know, like, who's there? Who's in my house? And I was like, oh, it's just me.
Because they heard you knock over the stuff, you thought.
Probably, yeah. Like, I made a ruckus, and
Yeah.
I was in their kitchen, obviously. And I was like, oh, well, you know, it's just me, not some ghost. And they, like, responded clear as day. They were like, oh, okay, like, I'm gonna go about my business. I thought that Nani was, like, laying on this couch watching TV, you know? And to hear a female voice, like an elderly voice, a mature voice, you think, oh, well, it must be Nani. Like, if I heard some dude's voice, you know, I didn't think anything of it at all because I thought it was your grandma.
And then, he'll, huh?
And then later that evening, we were sitting over there eating pizza. And I was like, where's your grandma? And you were like, she's the one that's in the hospital that they've been talking about. And I was just creeped out. And it wasn't like so shocking that could have happened. It was just kind of
disturbing that you talked to it and it responded
to me, and that just it has never happened to me ever before. Out of all the experiences I've ever had, I've never had such a verbal experience. I had a short small talk session with a ghost. It's just weird. And then like after that, when I left, I just, you know, whenever like in a horror movie, it's like the violins and stuff, like the like the climax music. That's what I felt in my head. I was like, I gotta get out of this house. I have to leave. I'm not gonna go and ask it how it's doing. And here we are now. I'm about to ask this ghost how it's doing 3 years down the line. Hey girl, you remember me? I knocked over some dog biscuits and startled you.
She's gonna be like, what?
Who are you? I was the loud one. Oh, she's back.
Okay, do you want to walk us through it?
Sure. Okay. So I came in, and to be honest, this area was creepy. And it was, you know, dark. It's always dark in here. Yeah, that wasn't on. And all of Jake's stuff is just black. So I was trying to like rummage, and I knocked something like this, just over. And like all of them came out and the dogs were like, I was like, no, oh my god.
They eat them all.
Yes, and I was trying to pick them up, and so whenever you hear like, it was loud. And look at him, he thinks he's getting a treat. I'm not gonna give you that. That was about the time I heard the, hey, and I was like, hi.
I'm in there.
It's just me. And I go, oh, okay. And it sounded just like a southern bear mall. Like if I could, I don't know. It just didn't, you feel, I don't know what the word, like oblivious.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what? Ghosts are real? And it'd be different if like I heard an inanimate object move, but I heard like clear as day, and it wasn't like a muffled like hello, like hello,
Yeah.
hello,
Yeah.
or hey, and I have chills like down my spine.
And that's Shannon's story. Stories like that give me the GBGBs. I can only imagine what it felt like thinking that she talked to someone and then finding out that the house was actually empty. After she finished telling her story, Shannon and I decided to try and capture something on camera. So we waited until dark, and we sat for hours filming and asking questions, trying to get some kind of response.
Could you possibly make a noise?
And in person, we got nothing. So I figured we wouldn't really know until I reviewed the footage. And when I did that, I realized...
And you don't have to if you don't want to. Once again, we're here respectfully. We just want to make sure that you really are here.
Fireworks.
Thank God. I was like, they're popping. They want to make sure that we know that they're here. That was perfect timing, though.
That was perfect. Literally nothing happened. So what do you think? Is it really haunted, or is it just our imaginations? Oh my gosh. So, at the end of the day, this creepy stuff that happens at that house doesn't really bother me because some of my favorite memories took place there. That house is where I go to visit my cousins who are literally my best friends. It's an iconic Thanksgiving, Christmas destination for that side of the family, and it's where I filmed my first ever short film.
What if I really did have a sister? Huh? If I did, I guess I'd never get the chance to meet her.
If you enjoyed these creepy stories, please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you are notified when I upload new videos. And let me know if you think I should continue this creepy true story series by telling me in the comments below, because I have a lot of other stories to tell you if you're interested. I still have to tell you about the pole man, the Twilight Stalkers, the window man, the suited man, the kitchen man. So many men. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Long live cake.